welcome to another episode of Talking SANFL. Hazy, great to be back after round 2 of the SANFL season. It's already feeling like it's going so quick, but after round 2, looking at round 3 this week, can't wait to be back talking footy in the SANFL.
Geez, what a couple of rounds we've had as well. We thought the first round was really top shelf to get us into the season. This round that we just saw was even better, with a couple of monster comebacks, some really good footy, and we'll talk about that appetite for SANFL footy, being back with the fans and the clubs that deliver it.
Absolutely, I can't wait to get stuck in. Some 3 or 4 games where they come from behind, which is going to be really exciting to talk about. Got to thank our sponsors first as well, High Perform Sports Injury Clinic. Great to have them back on board for season 2022. As we said off the top, going to be a great show. We've got the wrap-up of the weekend's games. We've got the bunker men's looking at the power rankings this week, Hazy, before we get stuck into a preview of round 3 and the eliminator as well, which has been a nail-biter in the first week, Hazy.
Oh, we survived. We all survived. We'll get to that a little bit later on, but we felt like for myself and the men's that South was a reasonably comfortable bet. Yours was a little bit more, I wouldn't say controversial, a little bit more risky, but you came through.
Yeah, finally. It's hard sitting in the box and having the eliminator in the back of your mind as well.
It would have been more controversial if you backed in Norwood.
Yeah. But no, it was fantastic. Great show coming up. First though, let's have a look at the reserves games from the weekend. And there's some crackers here as well, Hazy. It was Norwood 9-15-69 being defeated by my Eagles 11-12-78, but a thrilling game for everyone involved. There was the Roosters 11-6-72 to South 10-9-69, 3-point win of the way of the Roosters there. There's the Doggies 9-9-63 to West Adelaide 20-9-129. They're definitely the inform side in the reserves competition at the moment. And then Sturt 14-3-87 to Glenelg 9-8-62. So some great results there in the reserves. Hazy, we're going to have a quick break, thank our sponsors, and then when we come back, we're going to wrap up all the weekend's action. As we said at the start, Hazy, great to have High Perform on for another year. Make sure if you've got any niggles or got a bit of a dicky ankle from the weekend, Hazy, book in and see Bainey for an appointment today. Let's have a look at the Host Plus SANFL League round 2 results. Hazy, in first, it was that, as we touched on, Friday night thriller at the parade under the lights. Norwood 11-15-81 to the Eagles 12-11-83. 2-point win the way of the Eagles.
So this was an important one for Woodville West Torrens, obviously the reigning premiers to kick it off. Kickstart their season really, all of a sudden Norwood has zipped 2. So that's quite concerning for them, particularly at the parade. That it's never at any stage easy on a Friday night to win there. So big result for the Eagles.
Massive result, and it's a great place to play footy on a Friday night. I think you feel like you're so close to the action as well. At the parade, and the new facility, how good is it as well? Yeah. So very, very fantastic game. I thought, early, probably the Eagles didn't take the most of their opportunities inside 50s, had 2-6 from 8 inside 50, so they were going at 100% on the scoreboard, but just not converting them into goals early days. Connor Ballman played his first game for the footy club, obviously coming from Brisbane Lions. He looked super in his first hit out for the club. Troy Menzel with 3 goals was outstanding, as well as Mitch Hardy, who was probably best on ground for the Eagles with 3. And I thought from Norwood, Rokar, Nunny in the middle of the ground, they were driving the ball forward for Norwood and really got them back into the game in the second quarter.
Yeah, Matt Nunn's just so consistent, isn't he? Has been for a long time. So there's still so much to like even from that performance for Norwood. So Norwood supporters, technically it doesn't look good, but in the early games, like we said before, it takes a good 4 or 5 rounds for the competition to really sort itself out. An early win is priceless, so great result for the Eagles, but I don't think it'll be panic stations at Norwood just yet.
Absolutely not. I was very impressed, and if I'm a Norwood supporter, I'd be quite bullish about how their season's going to pan out. I think Jade Rawlings is a fantastic coach, and he's going to have those boys very sharp, and there's some really good signs there out of their group on Friday night as well. So looking forward to watching them going forward. Hazy, the first of the first of the thrillers. The Friday night was a thriller. The second thriller, Central Districts 13-15-93 to West Adelaide 11-7-73. West Adelaide at one stage up by as much as 30 points, I reckon, Hazy. And the Dogs, 6 goals to nothing in the last quarter.
Amazing second half from Centrals, particularly out of the Ponderosa. Traditionally, it's always been a bit of an intimidating place to play. More important than that is what this does for a really, really young side. They're a developing side, Centrals. So is West Adelaide as well, but what it does mean for Paul Thomas and the troops is that they can get themselves, if they are in a situation like this, they know now that they can work their way out of it and still give it a crack. It's pretty easy for a young side as well to be that far behind and think, no, we're cooked here. So that will do such a world of good for the confidence of the Centrals boys, led by Trav Schiller, doing what Trav Schiller does, along with Jared, finding plenty of the football. But look, I dare say that Trav's probably locked up 3 votes there, and that's the type of win, particularly early on in the season, where we're questioning, what's the impact the Dogs could have this year. That sort of win, nice and early, to set the tone and instill some belief. It's just so priceless.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Another name there, Blake Lorna, with 3. Very, very good recruit. Played country footy last year and has come in, done a pre-season and been a part of their league side through the trial games and now early in the year. Great character for them to have around the footy club.
Yeah, for West Adelaide as well, Tommy Keogh just being the workhorse, the old war horse that he is with 4 goals. He was very serviceable. Harry Lemmy as well. Good to see him play. He didn't play last week, but she's got big raps on this young kid. They're calling him Riley Thilthorpe 2.0.
I watched him a little bit last year in the final series and he looked very nice. It's going to be exciting to watch. Let's have a look at North Adelaide taking on the Crows. And it was North 11-12-78 to the Crows 17-14-116. And as you know, North knock off the reigning premier in the Eagles last week, and as it's going to happen throughout this season, COVID hits.
Yep.
I think there were 4 or 5 players down in their squad, and also the coach Jacob Surgeon was out with COVID, and Darren Reeves took the job. But always a tough ask when you lose a couple of your top players from the weekend due to COVID.
Absolutely. And what about the start from the Crows? I don't think too many of the tipsters would have predicted them winning this big, this early. And obviously what happens with an affiliated AFL side, Jackson Haley, how many more games is he going to play before he gets an opportunity? He was absolutely everywhere. Barry's been very, very good now. And we've been talking about Riley Thilthorpe for a couple of weeks now. How much time does he spend in the SANFL before he gets another opportunity? 3 goals this week. I suppose one bloke, unless he wants to go somewhere, maybe in the mid-season draft, he's going to stay there as Matty Wright. And he delivers once again, 4 goals off the back of 5 last week.
I was about to say, if you wanted to fit the Crows, you're probably trying to find a little spot for him on the list, aren't you?
He would probably do quite well in their forward line right now. He's been a good player for a long time and just consistent, and all of a sudden he's 1 goal off leading the Ken final.
Absolutely. For North, good to see 2 of their major players with 31 touches apiece in the skipper, Alex Spina, and Harrison Weig, who's very good at round 1 as well. As Big Bauer kicking 5 goals this week as well, so he's coming to the front for North's forwards. Let's have a look at another game. This was a cracker as well, Hazy. It was Port taking on South Adelaide. Port 14-17-101, South Adelaide 17-9-111. But it looked like Port were going to take the game for a large part of the day.
Yeah, it did. Off the back of Jeremy Finlayson, who, if you're ever going to put your hand up for selection back in the AFL, that's the best way to do it. 6 goals. He was very, very good. So, yes, this is what South Adelaide was supposed to win. Now, I'm not sure about my maths. You have to help me here, Nida, but 1 + 1 = 2. 2 times 3 equal... That's 6 votes now for Bryce Gibbs and McGarry Middle.
He's going to be leading. Could go back to back.
2 best on grounds for him. So, off the back of 14 clearances in round 1, he just picks up lazy 39, 10 clearances as well. He's been on fire. And
great to see O'Neill as well, getting 29 as well. He's put 2 consistent weeks together under Bryce as well, which is what the Panthers will be looking for.
Yeah.
As well as, I know Dan touched on it in the bunker last week about recruits. Menzies, he's kicked 6 again for the Panthers this week. So some really positive signs at Pantherland at the moment.
Indeed, and especially with Bryce Gibbs, we're talking about if the AFL clubs get hit with COVID. So he's been nominated and he's aligned to Port Adelaide. So if there is a spate of COVID illnesses through the midfield, this man is the most informed player, probably in midfield, outside of the AFL.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And he would still very much holds on at AFL level, Hazy. No dramas about that. And the last game of the round, Hazy, Sturt taking on Glenelg. It was Sturt 11-9-75 to Glenelg 12-11-83. Another one where Sturt led most of the day, but Glenelg, as all good teams do, and that we said it, mentioned it probably 7 or 8 times last year. They just find a way to win, and Glenelg have done that again.
They are absolutely a champion team. They weren't the number one champions last year. Of course, that was the Eagles, but that's why it's so good to see the Dogs able to get themselves out of a situation like this. You kind of expect Glenelg to not give up and think that they can win until absolutely the final throw, and they can't. But that was off the back of Matty Snook back in there as well. We had a delayed start of the season, played the reserves last week. He was very, very important in the middle. And Liam McBean doing what he can do, and that is getting a run going and kicking 3 straight goals. That's why he's a 3-time Ken Farm medalist. Now,
boy Hosey just with 3 and banged run from outside 50 to get him in front late as well.
Of course he did, and he would have celebrated accordingly as well. He's a rock star. We said it last year, we'll say it again this year. At some stage, we've got to get him on.
Yeah, we'll get him on. We'll get him on the show this year. We'll once we can announce where the show's going, we'll make sure that we get him out there and get him on as one of our first guests, because he is a superstar of the game. Hazy, fantastic round 2 was, and if the first 2 weeks are anything to go by, this is going to be an absolute fantastic season of footy, of SANFL footy.
If you think you can confidently predict who would be the Premier right now after 2 rounds, you're absolutely kidding yourself. And it feels like there's about 4 or 5 teams who could give this an absolute shake. Still yet to work out, even potentially, who the cellar dwellers are. I mean, West Adelaide hasn't been a very good start. Round 1 as well, particularly against Sturt. But yes, it's a great couple of rounds, and the level of footy at the moment is just really, really high. It's so good to see.
It is. It's absolutely unbelievable. We've got the ladder on the screen now, Hazy, and who would have thought that we'd be seeing the Crows at the top of that ladder, sitting in first place this early in the year?
No one, because all the predictions, I mean, I predicted my top 3 would be Glenelg, South Adelaide, who were 2 of the 3 spots, and the other one, of course, Woodville West Torrens, who are sitting 1-1, but no one's picking the Crows to sort of do much, particularly when you're saying that it's a rebuilding year in the AFL, those types of things, but they've got good players that are playing good football who are right on the edge of AFL selection.
I reckon they had 2 top-ups on the weekend as well, and we know for both AFL teams how dependent on how many AFL listed players they are.
Yeah, massive difference. So, and the difference is 2 top-ups versus maybe 5 or 6. It feels like can translate sometimes into about a 30-40 point difference turnaround.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Hazy, we're going to have a break. When we come back, we've got the bunker. Excited for this. Men's looking at clubs' power rankings this week. We'll be back shortly.
Yes, and welcome to the bunker. So it's week 2 of the bunker, which means it's the team power rankings. So the boys just touched on the ladder just then, and so the way this is going to work with the team power rankings is it's not necessarily going to reflect the ladder. It's going to reflect team lists, how they're actually going, how healthy they are, and how much you can trust teams at the moment as well. And we're going to look at who has actually played against each other, and I'm going to touch on a little bit of the offense and defense. So with that, let's jump into the power rankings, and let's start with number 10. So at number 10, we have West Adelaide. West Adelaide, they're obviously 0-2 at the moment. They've played Sturt and Centrals in their first 2 games. Came last year, so I found it difficult to move them anywhere from that position in 10th, and obviously a disappointing loss on the weekend against the Dogs, who were too good, too strong, and overran them. And that's why West Adelaide is at number 10. We're going to move forward to number 9, and at number 9, it's Port Adelaide. So Port Adelaide haven't started the season the way they would have liked. They've obviously got a few injuries, which the boys have touched on. They're number 10 in defence, so they're giving up way too many scores at the moment, and that's why they come in at number 9. At number 8, it's Central Districts. They are 1-1 to start the year. They'll be happy with their win on the weekend. They have played against South Adelaide and West Adelaide. It obviously is our number 10 in the rankings, so I am keeping them at number 8 at the moment. A couple more impressive performances over the coming weeks. They will have an opportunity to move up these rankings. Let's go to number 7. So at number 7, it is the Redlegs. It's Norwood. They are 0-2 to start the year. However, they have played against the 2 grand finalists from last year. So Glenelg and the Eagles on the weekend. So they had been in both games, failed to win both games. And their offense is number 9 in the comp at the moment. So that will probably be the one thing that Jade Rawlings will look to fix up over the coming weeks and potentially get themselves with a couple of wins over the next fortnight. At number 6, we have North Adelaide. So North Adelaide is 1-1, a really impressive win in round 1 against the Eagles, and obviously had a couple of outs against Adelaide on the weekend, and Adelaide were far too strong for them. So 1-1 brings them in at number 6. They are number 9 in defence at the moment. That's the area they will look to improve on to continue to get a few more wins and move up the ladder. So let's move on to our top 5. So our top 5, at number 5, I have South Adelaide. Now, yes, South Adelaide has won both their games so far. They've started 2-0. So maybe it is a touch low. However, they have played against Centrals and Port Adelaide, who are two teams that last year obviously didn't perform as well as they would have liked, and they're in our bottom 3 of our power rankings. So South Adelaide 2-0. Their offense has started extremely well. They've got some really good recruits up there that are playing well. But number 8 in defence is the concern at the moment that I think their coaching staff would have, and that's why they are number 5 in my power rankings. At number 4, we've got the Eagles. So the Eagles are 1-1. They played against North Adelaide, didn't get the win, and obviously just beat Norwood on the weekend. They haven't started as well as they would have liked. There's a couple of concerns that they'll want to fix up, but they are the reigning premiers from last year, and so with that, it obviously comes a bit of pedigree. There's a little bit of trust there that they will get their form back on track, and that's why they're number 4 on the team power rankings. At number 3, we have Sturt. So Sturt, great start of the season. They knocked off West Adelaide, and then they just got overrun by Glenelg on the weekend. So number 3 on our rankings, number 5 in offence, but the thing that's put them so high is they are the number 1 defensive ranked team in the competition. And for mine, I'm not sure they'll move too far from that. Very good defensive side, and that's why Sturt is number 3 on the power rankings. So it's down to the top 2. 2 teams that have started very well, both with 2 wins, no losses. At number 2, I've gone with Adelaide. So Adelaide, they have obviously a very healthy list at the moment, only the couple of top-ups on the weekend, which the boys alluded to. They are number 1 in offence at the moment. Their ball movement is exceptional, and if they can keep playing like this, there's no reason why they won't actually go to the number 1 spot. The question mark I have for them is obviously health, and it's obviously the AFL team as well and losing a few players. So it's why I reserve my decision to put them at number 1, and they are our number 2 team. And at number 1 in our power rankings, it is Glenelg. It's the Bays, the team that made the grand final last year, undefeated in the home and away season. They are number 7 in offence this year. They haven't quite got going in offence, but number 2 in defence. And we obviously know that they're a tough team to beat, and they've showed that in their first 2 matchups. And they've played against 2 good teams as well. They've played Norwood and Sturt and got over the top of both of them. So it's why I've got confidence in them at the moment, and they are the number 1 in our team power rankings. So there you have it, our top 10, number 10 to 1 in our power rankings on the screen there. Be very interesting to see what happens in the next month when we come back to our next version of power rankings. Stay tuned for next week. Really excited for our quiz. It's our first quiz for the year. So the SANFL quiz next week, where I test the boys out on their knowledge of the SANFL over previous seasons.
Hazy, fantastic work by Men's again.
As always.
Power rankings, obviously big thing in American sports. Good to see us bringing it to South Australian sport.
There you go. Each and every week we'll get that from him, so that's really, really nice.
Looking forward to it, and looking forward to the quiz next week. You might need to brush up on your SANFL knowledge.
How very dare you? Maybe you brush up on your SANFL knowledge. No, you're right. We'll start studying really, really hard.
It's going to be good next week. The power rank, what did you make of it, mate? Any that you'd flip around at all? Obviously, ex-Doggies man, 1-on-1.
No, I think, I've looked to Daniel Menzel for advice, so whatever he's telling me, I'm going with it. But it looked pretty good, pretty solid.
I liked it. I was all about it. Hey, let's have a look at round 3. Starting us off, it's all Good Friday games this week, which is, I think it's a great initiative by the SANFL to have Good Friday footy and to have all the games, and then people can go away and enjoy their weekend. Maybe head up to Oakbank on the Saturday, Hazy as well. But it's going to be a great week, a great Friday of footy. So get down and support your club. Starting us off with South Adelaide v Sturt.
Won't this be a good one? We're talking about 2 clubs who are expected to do good things, particularly the Panthers. Sturt, like Men said, a loss on the weekend, but a solid win in round 1. So given that it's at home, you probably like South Adelaide, but Sturt are playing a really, really nice brand of footy. Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Sturt, and watching the way they finished the season last year, they've really taken that into this season as well. South are a team that they love to score freely as well. So I think Sturt, being the number 1 defensive team at the moment, if they can restrict South, they're going to find it really hard. I'm going to go with the Double Blues. Sturt look really good through Paddy Wilson. James Battersby gets plenty of it, but they've got to find a way as well to stop Bryce Gibbs.
because right now he's sitting on 6 McGarry votes and he's the clearance king.
Yeah, they're going to need to do a bit of work there, so it'll be good. Maybe they might send Battersby to stand next to Bryce at the stoppage.
I dare say there will be a little bit of accountability.
Has to be. Let's have a look. Next game, North Adelaide taking on Central Districts, always a traditional Good Friday game. That is going to be a belter with where the two sides are at.
Absolutely. Obviously, you'd probably expect the Roosters to win this one, given it's at Prospect, and the Bulldogs are still developing all those types of things, but geez, that win on the weekend will give them so much belief. So they will go into this thinking they're a red-hot chance.
Yeah, and they got North early in the season last year as well, the Doggies, so they'll take a lot of confidence from that as well. I'm thinking they're half a sniff there myself. Have a look at the third game of the week, Hazy. It's the Eagles taking on West Adelaide at Morteen Oval. You'd think that the Eagles would get that one done.
Yep, that would be, I mean, you know how I feel about the Bloods. I love the Bloods, but if I'm a punter, I'm putting my money on the Eagles there. It's such a hard ground to play at. You talk about home ground advantages. It's hard when the Dogs are up and about to play at the Ponderosa. Always hard to play at Unley, but geez, the Eagles at a home game at Woodville Oval, they're red hot.
It's going to be a great day there on Friday. We have a look at the next one. It's Glenelg taking on the Crows. This is going to be an absolute belter.
This is one which could go completely either way, and probably it depends a little bit on selection in the AFL side as to who Adelaide potentially lose. Jackson Haitley was everywhere, 35. Riley Thilthorpe, does he stay in the SANFL or does he get back up into the AFL? Matty Wright, can he continue that form? The Bays, though, it's just a good, solid, they're a champion team, so it'd be hard to predict this one as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bays. I think, as we said, just always find a way to win, which is what good teams do, and they'll get it done on the weekend. As we look at the last game, night game again at Cooper Stadium, it's the Redlegs taking on Port Adelaide.
So I know technically, I mean, we probably don't refer to Port Adelaide now as the Magpies, but they're still wearing the prison bars, and Norwood supporters still have very long memories. So you see the prison bars on a Friday night at the parade playing its Redlegs. Absolutely, the rivalry's still there, and it'll be fun to watch. And won't the supporters just be willing to give some of the Port boys some good, solid, constructive feedback to work on?
They have, and I'll tell you what, the Norwood supporters are very good at it as well. They certainly know what they're talking about. Or at least they
do their research.
Yeah, they do. So fantastic round of footy there. I'm going to go with the Redlegs in the last as well. So make sure, Good Friday footy. It's great to have it back. Really exciting. Before we finish, let's head into the Eliminator.
It is time now for the Eliminator segment, and boys, look, we almost scrapped this after 1 week. Last week I was watching the game, 10 minutes to go in the game, I thought, Hazy and I are done. Nida, fortunate to get up as well. Lucky we're all still alive.
Yeah, it is, and it was going to be an interesting to what we're going to come up with for the end of the show if we're all out week one or who we're going to get to do it, but all still in and we'll take it.
All still in. The Eliminator, the danger of this as well is, like we've said, the competition doesn't feel like it works itself out to about round 5 or round 6. There's always going to be some upsets, but somehow all still alive.
We are all still alive, and we'll go again this week in round 2. So we've had a look at the games, we've talked about them in the previews, and I'm going to kick it off this week, and I'm going to back my boys in the Eagles in against West Adelaide on Good Friday, at home too. I think that's key. Westies really flat with how they played on the weekend, so they'll want to react, but I'm going to go with the Eagles. You used us last week, Nida, just go over the line. I'm going to go with us this week. Who are you thinking? Yeah,
obviously it'd be nice to be able to use the same team twice, but that's not how the game works, man. So I was really impressed with Norwood last week, playing Port Adelaide, who we know what their injury toll is like and at AFL level and how much that affects SANFL. So I'm going to go with the Redlegs, under lights at the parade Friday night against the Port.
Against Port in that matchup too. That's a rivalry. I don't know about a rivalry matchup, but we'll see if you stay alive.
So I swear, just a note, I'm not copying Dan.
You did say you take advice from
2 weeks in a row. We're going to go the same.
But I have to tip the Eagles. So we both did South last week, so I've the opportunity to tip the Eagles. Expecting a big response from the Bloods. It hasn't been the start that they would expect, particularly on the weekend. But Woodville West Torrens at home. This man here is fired up. Be interesting to see who he gets as well, whether Caden Brand matches up on Daniel Menzel. They're just too strong though. No matter what sort of performance the Bloods can put in, I still think the Eagles have got too much class.
Well, hopefully we can all be back here next week, still in the competition, or if you two get done, I'll win it. So, and Norwood win, I'll win it. So we'll see how we go.
I would hope that you hope that we win if anyone wins, because it means your boys got over the line.
It means the beers taste a little bit better on Friday night, that's for sure. But boys, another good show. Round 2 in the books. Can't wait for round 3. Good Friday footy. Great initiative by the SANFL. Thanks to iPerform Sports Injury Clinic for all their support on the show this year. We can't wait to be back next week, wrapping up what's going to be a very exciting round 3.